Greetings, friends. Reformed Stoic here. Cozy with my blankie. Believe it or not, Wrinkles is under the blanket over here, chilling. We're maximum cozy for a topic that's maybe not so cozy if you feel like you didn't have a good upbringing. But we're going to talk about community for men. This is definitely something that gets talked about a little bit online. I talked about it on my channel a while ago, but it's not in the title. I think it's in my video called The Number One Thing That Leads to Loneliness for Men. So it's kind of like revealed in the video, but it should be labeled in the title that men lack community. Men have lacked community. And I mean, you should always have community throughout your entire life, you know, but it's a developmental thing. And I'll just start by going over kind of the blueprint for failure for men. Overnights, coming home to an empty house and turning on the TV and playing video games, hanging out with your friends after school. And it's like, yeah, maybe parents don't understand because they think, oh, you know, my son is popular and he has friends and that's a good thing and it seems like he's well adjusted. But when it's unsupervised, just like hanging out with friends activities and overnights, that stuff really just leads to burnout, dysfunction, and then, you know, oftentimes drugs. And oh, look who we got here. Took her forever to realize. Ever since I moved my location on the couch, I switched because I sleep on this couch. I used to put my head over there. Now I put my head over here. So I moved all the blankets and stuff, and it's been rough for Wrinkles to adapt. She used to chill on the couch a lot more, but I think she's starting to figure it out. Anyway, overnights overall, not good. I'd say if you're a parent or if you're ever a parent, you should really limit overnights for your kids, and you should limit after school hanging out. I mean, the key here is just more structure. Developing boys need more structure. Supervised, structured activities that are led by adults, ultimately. And the easiest is sports. Now, if you have some sort of like an unathletic son who's just not really cut out for sports, but ultimately I think there's probably a sport for everybody. But if they absolutely just can't do sports, then some sort of another structured activity. And I don't even really know how many there are, like chess club or key club. I don't even know what key club is, bro. That's how much of a latchkey kid I was. I know that there's something called Key Club. Let's figure it out. What the hell is Key Club, dude? What is Key Club?
Here's some info about Key Club.
Oh, whoa. It's an international service organization for high school students. Whoa, it's got like a order symbol. That looks like that's like Knights of Columbus or Freemasons. Oh, it's like a freaking secret society for kids. Oh, okay. Well, wow. I was not expecting that. No wonder I'm not a success. I should have been in Key Club, dude. They're freaking sacrificing animals to Moloch when they're in freaking high school and paving their way for success. But anyway, so maybe not Key Club, but whatever the hell there is other than sports. And you see, my thing was music. And maybe there's like bigger, better developed music programs in other parts of the country, in other towns, but what I noticed for me is that music was like a pseudo structured activity where it was really like I would play in these bands in high school, and we'd do our little rehearsal for half an hour, and then we'd go run around in the woods and hang out and smoke weed and go to parties, and it wasn't really a structured activity. That was a big pitfall for me. And I would use it as an excuse to like not get jobs in high school or not play sports in high school. Oh, I need time to play drums. Music ended up being an excuse for me to screw off. And I was dedicated to drums. I did practice like 1 to 2 hours every day, most days. But even so, that should have been something that, I should have still did other stuff. But, in my defense, drumming is a pretty awkward thing. Drums are like really loud, so you can't really practice drums like at any given moment, but I should have figured it out. I should have got like an electronic drum set, or maybe I could have found a way to like practice in one of the practice rooms during lunch at school. You gotta just... It's all about structure. Everything has to be structured, and what I base the blueprint of success from is the blueprint for failure that I know like the back of my hand, bro. Coming home from school to an empty house and turning on the TV and playing video games, or immediately hanging out with your friends after school. Overnights on the weekends, and then partying on the weekends, partying overnights. The classic, like, oh, I'm staying at so-and-so's house, and so-and-so says they're staying at my house, and then we go to a party. It's funny, there was times that we did that, and sometimes it wouldn't even be a party. It'd just be like we'd go buy weed and get high with like 5 people, like losers. And then we all said we were staying at somebody else's house, so we had nowhere to go. And we had to like sneak into my house and sleep in the freaking, what is it? I don't know. It's not a crawl space, some sort of like an attic kind of thing that was in my garage. That was kind of a funny memory. There was good times and made for some good memories, dude, but it's the blueprint to just be a burnout, to just not... To grow up to just not be who you want to be, man. So the opposite of overnights, the opposite of coming home to an empty house and watching TV, all of that stuff is lacking structure. Children need to be busy. Boys need to be busy. And it results in having community. That's part of what it means to have a community, and it has to be adult supervised activity, or rather adult led activity. It's not just that they're surveillancing the kids or watching over them. That's part of it. But the adults are deciding what you do, because these are developing kids who need to be taught how to do valuable things. I mean, when you're just hanging out with your friends after school, well, then 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds are deciding what the non-structured activities are, and it's running around the woods and getting high and wasting time. And then when you're at a party, it results in something really negative. You see, for the most part, if you're like in a sport or in some sort of whatever the hell there is in school other than sports, like they got like student law or student politics or the Key Club where they worship the devil or whatever the hell the Key Club does. And the adults who structure and oversee the activity are making sure that there isn't some like isolated, tortured loser kid who like gets made fun of by everybody else. And I'm sure that happens in some structured activities, But where that really happens is unstructured activities like high school parties and hanging out with your little clique of friends. And I can tell you, in some of my little cliques of friends, like, there would be a guy that would get the short end of the stick. And it wasn't always me. Like, I remember being in groups where, like, one of my friends was kind of the butt of all the jokes, dude. Like, kids are savage, man. And when you're doing some sort of structured activity, it's kind of made sure that that doesn't happen. Now, with sports, it's tough because if you're not athletic, like if you're the worst on the baseball team or the worst on the football team, then that's going to be awkward because you suck and you're holding everybody back. Wrestling is good for that because, you know, at least in wrestling, you're just getting your ass kicked all by yourself. But I don't know, maybe that holds the wrestling team back somehow. Sports is tough, dude. I mean, my first day in middle school, I was like 4'7", 70 pounds. I was tiny. Dude. By the time I finally started getting a little bit in shape, it was my junior year of high school. And it's weird, man. I mean, my dad says he was the same way. He said he was really, really small too. And it's crazy because now he was pretty big, or like in his prime, he grew into a pretty big guy. And I'm like 180 pounds right now, so it's weird. Like, we got this little, like, alien genetics. We're just fucking tiny in middle school. But I don't know. I got to my maximum height my freshman year. So I feel like I probably could have got in shape earlier. Probably could have been pushed harder to get in shape earlier somehow. But, and part of me just thinks, like, all boys should do sports. Like, some of them are going to be like, and you know, that's when they have, like, in basketball, they got like what, JV and the C team, and I don't remember how it works. There's like varsity basketball and then the C team. There's like different levels. So it's like, if you're not athletic, then, you know, you do like Weenie Hut Junior wrestling or like C team basketball, or you just, I feel like it should be mandatory, you know? Kind of like gym class. Like in elementary school, we all had to do sports in gym class. Because it's just good for you. It's just something to keep you from partying. It's just something to keep you from like hanging out with your loser friends and like, hey man, let's chug cough syrup and like throw rocks at ducks, you know? It's just something to do. And there should be activities like that where there's men and women. And I know it works like that with sports. I heard about sports people traveling, you know, like cross country or track, or maybe like the men's and women's basketball teams travel together. I always would just hear these random stories about people traveling for sports and people are hooking up and that kind of stuff's going on, which could also potentially be negative. But, you know, this video is not really going to go much longer. That's pretty much it, dude, is that men needed structure developmentally. And I feel like what really kind of kept me from developing that structure was the fact that I played drums. I was a part of the high school jazz band. I mean, I was a part of like a concert band my freshman year. I did the chamber ensemble. I mean, I tried to do like everything you could do with music. I did chamber ensemble, which is where you kind of just like practice. It's basically like a class where you practice. I had 0-hour chamber ensemble. So I went to school early and we all had to audition for state solo ensemble, which was a big part for me. Like, I freaking like won. I got an honorable mention for my snare drum solo, and the guy who beat me played marimba with 4 mallets. Well, that basically means I was the best snare drummer in the freaking state. What did I get for it? Did I get some big scholarship for it? I didn't get jack shit for it, dude. It's like it didn't mean anything. I feel like it should have meant something. Maybe if I was shoving it in everybody's face, like, hey, look at me, I'm the fucking best snare drummer in Alaska, like, give me scholarships, give me jobs, give me gigs. It just didn't give me fucking anything, dude. Did you guys know I was the best snare drummer in Alaska at one point? it didn't amount to jack fucking shit. Now I'm just fucking badgering you guys about it, dude, because I feel like it should have meant something. I feel like it should have got me somewhere, you know? And it just fucking didn't. But yeah, the chamber ensemble, jazz band, playing in my little bands. I tried to do whatever there was to do with music. I was even playing gigs in high school. I had a blues band, and we played at bars, and I did like everything that I possibly could with music in high school, and somehow I still was a fucking latchkey kid, always fucking off with my friends, always going to parties. Just, it wasn't structure. I mean, I should have did that and played a sport. I went to like the first day of wrestling practice my senior year, and I was pretty good, dude. When they had people doing their little sparring, like I wrestled some kid who was like too small. It was like probably, he was like a 125er and I was like a 135er. I fucked him up, dude. I was good. I was pretty naturally good at wrestling, but the guys who were in my weight class, they'd been wrestling since they were like 2 years old, and they were like chatties. Dude, this guy who wrestled at 140, he's like a big 200-pound, 6'2" Chad now. Like, I knew that I didn't really stand a chance. I mean, I probably would have been pretty naturally good, and I probably should have just did it anyway, you know? But I didn't have that discipline of just doing sports forever, because I knew guys, chatty guys who were like football players, and then they did wrestling. Like, they didn't always do wrestling, but they just did it, and they were just good because they were a Chad, you know? And but that's pretty much it, man. Boys needed structure. I think a big part of why so many men are failures and have left society and all that is because they didn't have structure. I mean, here's a test. Whoever is watching this video, if like you're a chud now, did you have any structure? Were you in sports? My dad put me in like every single sport in elementary school, and I really was like a tiny, pathetic, inferior, like, and I don't want to say stuff that's hate speech. It's always me talking about myself, and then YouTube calls it hate speech. It's like, no, I was inferior. I was the genetic abomination, not anybody else. But even saying that, the algorithm picks it up and labels it hate speech. It's like, I sucked when I was in elementary school. I did swimming. I did track. I did soccer. I don't know if I ever did baseball. I did like t-ball when I was a little kid, and then I tried baseball. I was like, where's the tee? It's like, that's not a real sport, son. T-ball's not a real sport, son. You have to act, they throw the ball and you have to hit the ball. Like, I want to play t-ball forever. I was so unathletic, man, and I grew up, and now I do like martial arts and lift weights, and it's weird. My dad said he was the same way, just tiny. My dad did wrestling, and he said he never won. He never won a match. but then he would join the military and did karate, and something about my genetics, and it seems like it's on my dad's side. Like, we go through this transformation, and, you know, that's probably when my dad kind of had a chip on his shoulder because he was really fucking tiny. He said he went back after the military and nobody recognized him. And he's like, hey, remember when you like spit on my car? You want to try that again? It's the same thing with me. I just had these little tiny wimpo genetics, dude. And I was burnt out on sports before I even really had like puberty. But I don't know. I'm not trying to blame my dad for that. It's just, I mean, I blame him for my genetics, not for trying to put me in sports. My genetics just absolutely sucked. But yeah, take a good look at your life, and that's kind of my prediction. It's like, are you a chud? You got nobody? You got nothing? Did you spend a lot of time watching TV? Did you come home to an empty house after school? Did you come home to an empty house and turn on the TV and play video games? And either like, because if you're down really bad, you never even had friends, and that's all you did. And then you're probably like not in a good place, dude. But if you're like me, you also had friends, And so when you're not coming home to an empty house and playing video games and watching TV, you're going to your friend's empty ass house and watching TV and playing video games with them. And then eventually you're smoking weed with them. And then everything's like, hey dude, let's go get high after school and let's pretend we're staying the night at each other's houses and go to parties and just unstructured chaos. And the thing that would have, or the thing that on paper was supposed to be giving me community, it wasn't. Music was just like, look at most musicians, dude. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You're freaking burnouts. And then jazz. Jazz is like the fancy thing that's a part of school. It's like, oh, don't play rock music, play jazz. That ain't gonna save you from drugs, buddy boyo. Guess what, dude? Jazz, even though it's fancy music school, like, ooh, I have a master's degree in jazz. Those guys are smoking weed and doing heroin and doing coke. And they're also degenerates. Music is degenerate, bro. So that doesn't mean don't do it. It just means that doesn't count. And if for my drum students, for anybody that I teach drums, dude, it's like one of the lessons is you do have time to do other things. There is time to do other stuff. You do have time to practice. If you have to use a practice pad, if you have to use an electronic kit, you should be able to have access to an acoustic drum set. But unfortunately, drums are really loud, and you either need to get like a practice space, or maybe everything can line up where you are able to get that like 4 o'clock practice after school and then do something structured after that. But you do have time to do other things. In fact, that is going to force you to be a very like dedicated, structured person, like Hey Arnold's rich friend in Hey Arnold, who's like, oh, I gotta go to my piano lesson, and then I gotta go, and then like Hey Arnold like teaches him how to not follow a schedule, which is like some degenerate brainwashing Freemason lesson to like make kids feel like they're cool because they're public school working class kids who like don't live a rich kid's life. That kid was doing everything right, and then Hey Arnold like teaches him how to screw off. Like there's some lesson in that. It's like, no, dude, you should be like that kid and have a planner and, oh, my piano lesson, and then I gotta go to my job, and then I gotta go to Key Club and sacrifice babies to the devil. And why do I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of hate speech strikes again? I'm just joking, YouTube. They took down my Black Pill documentary. They said it was hate speech. How is guys talking about how they're losers with women hate speech? Is that hate speech that I said guys are losers with women? Like, anyway, buddy boyo, you needed more structure and you didn't have it. Now you're a fucking chud. So if you ever have kids, which you probably won't because you're a chud, hopefully that's not hate speech. You will have kids. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Make sure they have structure. That's what men need. I said that I could be like a guidance counselor. I would basically just guide kids to do sports. And if they can't do sports, then join activities. And that will help you develop friendships in a healthy way where adults are making sure that like all these like demonic kids aren't like ganging up on one kid, and if somebody's struggling in these organized social situations, then they can go through counseling through the school and they can figure it out. And if you're a fucking weirdo like future serial killer, they can catch it early and they can fucking fix you, dude. But that's the problem. When all you do is go home and watch TV alone and fuck off with your friends in the woods, some of your friends are psychopaths, and some of them are narcissists, and maybe somebody's got borderline personality disorder, and nobody's checking on anything, and you're all in the woods, like, hey man, I'm gonna hit you in the head with a wrench, and let's chase each other around in circles and burn shit down, and hey dude, oh, you want to be a lawyer? That's fucking stupid, dude. You should like throw rocks in a dumpster forever because I said so, because I'm a 15-year-old psychopath who's gonna go to prison for fucking doing something horrible in 10 years. Like, dude, it's chaos. It's Lord of the Flies. That's what I call it. anything that's not structured, anything that's not sports or not student politics or the key club or the typing club or any of that nerdy bullshit that I thought I was too cool to do, it's all fucking chaos. And if you're not Chatty McChad, it's not going to get you laid. It's not going to get you a girlfriend. It's not going to work out for you. And a lot of people think it's the black pill. It's like, dude, if you're not tall and good looking, like, you're just fucked any way you slice it. Well, the best shot for you to have a community and to be attached to things is do supervised, structured activity where adults are making sure that people aren't taping you to a flagpole. That's your best shot. And my prediction, it's not really a prediction because it already happened. My analysis of why so many men have fallen through the cracks is because of this, like, you can be anything. That's what it was in public school. They tell you you can be anything, and what do you be? You be a latchkey kid who comes home to an empty house because your parents are trying to pave out like an upper middle class way of life, and you watch fucking TV, and you just don't end up being jack shit. Because there's no structure. There's so much freedom that there's no structure. So, that's it. That's my rant. There's no hate speech in this video. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I love you. Everybody's a super special snowflake. And it's okay if you're short. And it's okay if you're tall. And everybody deserves love. And everybody wins. Everybody gets first place. Yay, me too, and I'm not a loser, and I love myself, and I love being short and bald, and everybody wins. Yay, hooray, YouTube. Let's make a nice positive environment for everybody. Please stop hate speech striking me for no fucking reason. God bless.